Hi, I'm Eric Cairns. We're in Mangaroa Valley, Upper Hutt, and we're on a really a lifestyle block. It's 8 hectares, of which a little over half of it is mixed species forestry. The majority of the plantation timber trees are radiata pine, but we have a lot of other stuff mixed through. Been pretty keen on a range of eucalypts, Saligna and Nitens and Regnans, and Tasmanian blackwood. Acacia melanoxylon or Racosperma melanoxylon is the main options. More recently, we have been experimenting with some of the cypresses and redwoods. So we're certainly keen on trying out a very wide range of species to see what will happen. Forestry obviously is a great use of slightly less productive land. Obviously, forestry will protect against soil erosion, protect water, sustain wildlife, particularly our native birds and insects and so on. Compared to pastoral uses, needs a lot less input in the way of supplementary fertiliser. So forestry on hill country is a tremendous option to look at. So our objectives when we started here was use of a woodlot as a retirement nest egg, sustainable land use and environmental issues for particularly encourage the birds in, and I actually think exotic woodlots or mixed species woodlots are very friendly to bird life, great habitat. I just didn't want wall-to-wall radiata pine. I wanted some alternative species there, so that was an objective, and we've had a lot of fun over the years experimenting with a very wide range of species, not just ones for forestry, but a lot of other collectible type things as well. But we have over 50 different species that we've experimented with to see what they could do as a timber tree in our environment. So we're still squeezing stuff in, and it's still a lot of fun, and we're still propagating. I do a lot of my own propagating in a tree nursery. Buy stuff in, of course. There's some very good nursery suppliers out there. It's not just a matter of jumping on the latest bandwagon. I think in a lot of the new ideas coming in, there's genuine good reasons for why they're attractive. Durable eucalypts, the vineyard posts and redwoods and so on, they certainly have their strengths in the right environment, but they're not for plastering in any environment because they have specific requirements, not as broadly tolerant as the likes of radiata pine and Douglas fir and some of the what I'll call commodity species. One of the options for end use of trees on a block of our size, this roughly 4 or 5 hectares of forestry, is it's got to be firewood or fuel wood for your own use or for selling directly. And I've often thought that firewood is really just a byproduct of growing trees for timber. And why would anyone plant trees just for firewood? It's a bit like, growing sheep to harvest the dags. But in fact, in the right site, firewood actually achieves as much value to some growers around here as does, say, unpruned radiata pine. If pine is old enough, it's got the density at 30 years plus, perhaps the branch size is a bit too big to make best prices for export, then firewood is very much an option. And of course there are many other species that can be used for firewood. I guess a lot of would-be foresters want to know, what if you were starting again, what would you plant and why? And that's always a difficult question because there are so many risk factors to take into account, and of course you're trying to predict the market 20 or 50 or 100 years in advance, which of course is very difficult. If you were just looking at forestry as an investment and that investment mattered to you, you would probably go for a conservative mix of well-established stuff, and you would be either radiata or Douglas fir, depending on the environment, perhaps as part of sort of thing that corporate forestry would put in. If, on the other hand, the bird life, the amenity plantings, the family involvement over a longer period of time was important, you might well look at a different range of species that you were passionate about and you could look after. Because most of the alternative species require a lot more looking after than what your standard radiata and Douglas fir does. Most people want to make their own decisions about forestry. They don't just want to have it handed on a plate. The trouble is that the goalposts shift on you over a lifetime of forestry. But if you want to own your own decisions on that, you need the information, you need to learn from other people's experience. So the best thing is pay this tiny little subscription fee, join up, get hold of Tree Grower and the other magazines, and just keep reading and be passionate about it, and I think you can do well.